Hey guys, what's up? It's Megan, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit of my personal story, my own journey from healing. And so, the process that really what started for me was when I was very young, really, say, even it's like my late teens. I just want to talk a little bit about how I ended up on this path and the yoga and alternative medicine, and just give you a little bit of my background so you understand why I am, I'm even making these videos and I'm trying to work with people because it's really been my own personal journey that's led me here. So basically, when I was like in my teens, I'd say is when it really started, where I was having some really severe stomach problems and intestinal disorders, and just really became normal. It just was one of those things that I dealt with for so long that it seemed to be kind of a normal thing in my life. And then as I got into my 20s, it was progressively getting worse and worse and worse. And so I was seeing Western doctors at the time, and so I was going to see just a general practitioner, kind of family medicine doctor. And I was then diagnosed with IBS, so irritable bowel syndrome. And so I always had continual problems with my stomach from when I was really early on in my early 20s. And so at that time, the doctor that I was seeing, she had prescribed me a medication. I don't even recall what it was, but it was basically a medication to slow the motility of my intestines down, and really never even discussed with me my diet, what I was eating, lifestyle choices, anything like that. It was just automatically giving me a medication to slow the intestines down so they weren't working so fast, so rapidly, and causing me to have the IBS. And so at this point, I was like living on like Imodium basically, and this medication that she had given me, because I mean, it was horrible. I was just constantly having problems with my stomach. I took the medicine for a bit, and it helped a little bit, I'd say, but really not so much. And about the same time, I got started with going to yoga, and that was right. I was about 25 at the time, and that's when I started going to yoga. And just even going to practice, I remember just being like, I don't want to eat like a big heavy meal. I'm going to go and do a hot yoga class, so I just want to like eat something better so I feel good in class. And so right away, I already started just to make decisions, that were based upon, I'm going to practice. I'm going to practice. I want to feel good. Or it was like, oh no, I'm not going to go out and party tonight because I want to go to the 8 a.m. class in the morning. And so it just kind of started in that direction where I was right away just starting to make a little better choices around my food and so forth. And that's about the time when I started practicing with Desi and Micah Springer back in Denver, Colorado, which are two of my favorite teachers that I've studied with forever, and my really good friends as well. Started practicing there with them, and that's when I started to really become more aware of what I was putting into my body. Just, Micah specifically would particularly talk quite a bit about the importance of our food and really having a holistic lifestyle. So she would talk quite a bit about Ayurveda and just diet, and really kind of that started to make me think in the direction of like, well, what are the foods that I'm eating, doing here, and so on and so forth. And throughout the years of our relationship, as it progressed and developed, I was doing my second teacher training with Desi and Micah, and at that time I was still really struggling, and they were both like, Megs, like you gotta, what are you eating? What's going on with you? Because I was having not only these really bad stomach issues, but it had exacerbated and started to affect my skin, and so now I was dealing with psoriasis, which was also quite lovely, red blotchy skin. And that's really every person's dream come true, is to have this like continuous rash that's not going away. So then Micah and Desi were like, Megs, you really got to look at your diet. And I was like, all right. And so they suggested right away that I definitely eliminate gluten and refined sugars. That was the two big ones, and they were also like, alcohol is a big one too, really dairy, any inflammatory causing. So the big ones were the gluten, the dairy, soy, and refined sugars and then alcohol. And so that was kind of a pivotal point. And I was also at the time going to alternative medicine doctors. So I was seeing acupuncturists. I was seeing a lot of different alternative medicine doctors. Specifically, I'd say Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic practitioners as well. And so with really combined help between everybody, we started to realize that I had some really, really serious food allergies. And when we actually got to the root of the problem, we realized I had developed leaky gut syndrome. And so this is a problem with the lining of the intestines. The mucosal lining gets completely damaged and deteriorates. And what happens is the lining of the intestines becomes permeable. And so when this happens, everything that you're taking in is basically leaking through the lining of the intestines, going directly into your bloodstream. And then from the bloodstream, it's going through the liver. And then the liver's like, I don't know what to do with all this because it's not supposed to be there, right? So then the liver's overworked and it's trying to find a place to put all of these toxins, right? So for me, it was dumping into my skin. And so that was the way the problem was surfacing, where other people, it could come into maybe joint pain or maybe migraines, or, it shows itself eczema, psoriasis. It can show in so many different ways depending on the person, the individual. And so for me, once we realized, I had a test run. A test run. It was a stool test that actually showed that I had this going on, this leaky gut syndrome. And from that point on, I was like, wow, like I had zero, it was completely deteriorated. So at this point, I wasn't absorbing my nutrients and everything was going into the bloodstream. So what happens in this case is we become hypersensitive to foods. So, foods that normally you should tolerate okay, you start to become hypersensitive to them, and you become allergic to kind of almost everything that you're putting into your body. When you can imagine, that's really not a good place to be in. So once we addressed that, my practitioner at the time started to treat me with some supplements to try to help to, like probiotics and things like that, to help to restore the lining of the gut and to help me heal from that. But for me, I don't really do so well with anything that's processed, even if it's a probiotic or some type of, supplements and pills and such. I find that the closer I just stay to the earth and natural, the better off I am. So I ended up seeing my friend's husband, and he is a Chinese medicine practitioner, and he was like, you need to start kefir. He's also did a complete liver flush. I did a 21-day liver cleanse at the time, and then he was like, you really have to get some healthy bacteria in your intestinal tract, and then this kefir is really, really good stuff. So he gave me the culture, the grain, and then I started to make my own kefir. I chose goat's milk, raw goat's milk, because it's the proteins are smaller and they're more easily digested than cow's milk. So I'm just, as far as dairy, I don't really consume much dairy anyway, but using the kefir, there's very little lactose in the actual kefir because of the fermentation process and so forth. So it makes it, even if you are lactose intolerant or you have problems with dairy, kefir can actually work for you. So then the kefir came along, and about 6 weeks after taking the kefir, I was like a new person. It was crazy. Like my stomach was so much better. I was feeling so much better. My skin had cleared up. And so it was a combination of many things. But what I had realized is that I had a problem with my intestines and the lining of my gut. And so this was really like the root of the problem. And so it was causing me to have all these food allergies and so on and so forth. So it was really a combination of, again, Ayurveda, so eating with the 5 elements and eating for my constitution. It was just knowing myself and my body better, starting to understand and realize like the crap that I had been putting into it before was not serving me. It was just garbage. There was a lot of processed things and just stuff that was coming in that was not doing me well. And especially with all of the way that we're going in the world today with processed foods and GMOs and all these things, we have to really really, really be careful what we're eating. So basically, that was my journey to healing, and from that point on, that was about into my 30s, and from now, I'm doing so much better, and I still have to be very careful what I eat, and keep an eye on things. But for the most part, I've come a huge way from where I'd started. And so I guess that's what I'm just trying to let you guys know, is it's really been my own personal journey, and yoga, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, and just, a broad modality of healing that's brought me here today. So thank you so very much for taking the time to listen, and have a beautiful day. Ciao. And so, again, that's been my story, and a little bit about my own journey and why I'm here and why I'm looking to work with other people, because I know how hard it can be to find solutions and find answers when you're seeking. I went through it myself, and it can be really frustrating not to be able to bring yourself into balance. So that's what I'm here for, is just hoping to help people find solutions for their own issues. And again, if you would like to work with me, just go to my website and check out my coaching and services section, and just drop me a line, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Have a beautiful day.